Hi there, Dr. Bill Crawford here, psychologist, speaker, author of 7 books, host of 2 PBS specials. Here again to bring you some tips on how to help you create the life you want, how to bring more clarity, confidence, and creativity to everything you do. Today I want to look at the subject of making sure we're dealing with what's important when we are creating our life, when we are dealing with other people. The quote that I'm sending out to those 6,000 people on my quote list is one of mine. It says, "Don't let the issue du jour obscure what's truly important." Don't let the issue du jour or the issue of the day or even the moment obscure what's truly important, because I think that can happen really easily, especially when we're dealing with other people. If we are a parent dealing with a child, sometimes we get really focused on when will you clean your room, kind of the issue du jour. And sometimes what we miss is what's important there is that we are creating a human being here. We're helping someone become an adult. We want them to be confident. We want them to make good decisions. So number one, they have to see us as someone who believes in their ability to make good decisions. When we imply they don't know what they're talking about or they don't know what they're doing, that implies a lack of confidence. I saw this from the Olympics today, where a swimmer was talking to her parents saying, "You know, your love for me told me that I'm a person who deserves love. Kids don't know they're lovable until they're loved. They don't know they're valuable until they're valued." And when they feel loved and valuable, then they can look at their mistakes and say, okay, good information. But when they don't have that foundation of, am I worthy, am I valuable, then a mistake has a tendency to go to the very core of who they are. They feel not enough. And that keeps them from being able to learn from their mistakes and grow. So if you're a parent, when you're dealing with your kids, recognize, don't get focused on the issue du jour. You love your kids more than anything in the world, and they love you. But if that love isn't in the conversation somewhere, if it's not the foundation of the interaction, then you're just talking about the issue du jour. It gets into a who's right debate. If you're an employer or a manager or a supervisor and you're working with your employee, your supervisee, those you manage, recognize that it's not just the issue du jour that is what's going on here. Whether they do this thing right the right way right now is less important than the relationship you're building. Because how you engage them, how you teach them, how you help them learn will color how they see your advice, your authority in the future. So if you want them to see you as someone who has good ideas and is helpful and has got their back and is an ally versus an adversary, you've got to be able to bring that to the conversation. So what you're doing is you're creating a person who feels good about themselves, feels good about you, and now you can talk about whatever issue it is from this foundation. If you're a husband or a wife, you know the reason that you're in this relationship is because you love this person. Be careful about getting into a debate about who's right. That love isn't present then, and the crux or the foundation of the relationship therefore isn't present, and it can destroy or eat away at that foundation. If you're a friend, the reason you like this person is because of the qualities and characteristics they bring to the friendship. If that liking or even that love isn't there in the discussion, then again it becomes this debate about who's right, and very rarely do people feel closer at the end of that. So I think what we want to do is make sure we're not letting the issue du jour obscure what's really important. What's really important when we're dealing with our kids is helping them become the people we want them to be. They have to feel that. They have to know that. What's really important when we're working with our employees or our supervisees or those we manage is they've got to see us as someone they look to and respect and can hear our suggestions in terms of what's helpful, not just what's critical. If we are a husband or a wife, we've got to recognize that every time we interact with that person, we are co-creating that relationship. What if we were willing to do that in a way that if our kids were watching, we want them to emulate the relationship they saw us creating? If you're a friend, again, recognize that every time you're interacting with that friend, you are co-creating that relationship. And frankly, isn't our life made up of the relationships we have with people and kind of the relationship we have with ourselves? I mean, if we're always beating ourselves up over the issue du jour and not really looking at, okay, do I have the confidence to learn from this? If I were doing this again, would I do something different? Can I take that learning and go forward versus kind of beating ourselves up or beating myself up based on some mistake? I'm hoping that this is meaningful to you because I think we're always going around creating relationships with either other people or ourselves. And issues are going to come up. If we use them to magnify what's important and then go to the solution from that perspective, then we're going to be so much more successful. If we let the issue du jour become the debate about who's right or some sort of question of our own worth, we will find ourselves not creating the life we want, not creating the kind of life we would want to leave to those we love. So if this has been important to you and you want me to come and talk to your organization or you about this kind of concept, all of this basically comes from the top of the mind, by the way, this upper 80% of the brain. I bring this new perspective to my conversations, to my coaching, where we actually look at how the brain processes information and how that influences how we engage other people. If that's something you're interested in, just Google Bill Crawford, Ph.D. I'll come up on the first page. Go to my website, billcrawfordphd.com, hit the contact button, let me know what you're interested in, and I would love to talk with you about that. Of course, if you're liking these videos, please like them, share them with your friends if you would. It's the way that we kind of spread the word. I always feel so complimented. And if you have a comment or a quote you want to leave below or a question, feel free to do that. I always love those, read those, respond to them whenever I can. So, here is to you, finding more clarity in what's really important so you're not focused just on the issue du jour. Bringing more confidence to your engagement with yourself and others. Being more creative and being able to take that issue and weave it into what's important. More clarity, confidence, creativity to everything you do. And I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video.